The UFC, Colin McGregor versus Jose Aldo, and Chris Weidman versus Luke Rockhold. This video will contain spoilers, so if you do not wish to be spoilt for the most recent UFC event, then please turn this off. For those that have watched this event, oh my god, man, those two fights, I couldn't believe it. We'll start off with Colin McGregor and Jose Aldo. Colin McGregor for me is sort of someone that's sort of come out of, not nowhere, but I didn't really see him fight that much or didn't really get that much attention. All of a sudden I just saw this guy being, brought up. And I watched his last fight that was meant to be with Jose Aldo. And I watched the guy and he looked very awkward, very fluid, very lethal. And I was pretty impressed with him anyway. And so Jose Aldo, he is one hell of a fighter. And I believe in his early years, he was much more aggressive and entertaining, let's just say. And over time, I think he's become more cautious in his title fights, which is completely no problem for me, because when you get to that level, you have to you want to hold on to it. So you don't want to go out there doing stupid things or risking things. And so I thought it's going to be a good fight. You know, it's Colin McGregor versus Jose Aldo. Aldo's got a bucket load more experience in this type of situation. You know, he's been in the UFC for quite a while and he's won all of his fights. And so, I was really interested to see what would happen. But as it so happens, I watched the start of the fight, and the one thing I really noticed was Colin McGregor. He was happy, he was enjoying it, he was loving it, he looked relaxed. I didn't look at any of the weigh-ins or anything like that. I just know that, these guys are going to play mind games on each other. And they have to, because it's like, well, we're going to see, this is what happened, is that I saw Jose Aldo, I saw a guy that was defeated. Once he got in that ring, I saw his head down like this. If you're going in there to fight and, you're not sort of looking at the other guy, it shows that you don't want to be there, you're scared, or something like that. That's what it looked like to me. But I hoped that, once that bell rung, that Jose Aldo, that was just the most amazing fighter, and he is, and he still is an amazing fighter. There's no doubt about him as being one of the best pound-for-pound fighters. But it looked like the mind games that Colin McGregor had been doing was winning. And it looked to me that he was a defeated fighter at the start of that fight. But anything can happen in a fight. So, I just hoped that, he would get into it and they'd get into some form of rhythm and fighting. And that was that. It was not a lucky punch. Not even close to a lucky punch. Colin McGregor said, what did he say? Timing beats speed, precision beats power. Yeah, I agree. I clapped my hands. I was really, really impressed. But I can see there being a rematch, and I'd really look forward to the rematch. But I think, again, it's going to come back to the Ronda Rousey recent fight. And Jose Aldo is going to come back. And Jose Aldo can very well beat Colin McGregor. There's no doubt about it. But when you're coming to fight an Irishman, you'd better come to fight, because, these guys are brought up to be tough. And I'm so happy that, someone, from Ireland or from Europe has come over and been so successful, because why not? He's a great personality. He's doing great things for the UFC, so bring it on. So yeah, congratulations to to Colin McGregor, and Jose Aldo. He got caught by a magic punch, and it happens. So he's still a top fighter. Chris Weidman, Luke Rockhold, man. When I heard that matchup, I was like, Chris Weidman, you'd better bring your A game, because in my mind, Luke Rockhold would be a tougher challenge than Anderson Silva. Not that Anderson Silva was like that they're better or worse. It's the style and the matchup where, Luke Rockhold is a stand-up guy and he hits hard. He's tall. I haven't seen him have any major weaknesses. And he just seemed really tough and really strong. When I saw him fight Lyoto Machida, I thought, he definitely deserves a title shot. So when I saw this matchup, I thought this is going to be a good fight. I think it was very kind of even. They were both strong. They were both good stand-up. They were both good on the ground. It was going to be, who was the toughest and the strongest. And it kind of come back to me with Costa Zoo, boxing from Australia. It's really important not to try and knock people out, but to hit them hard. Because once you start hitting them hard, you do damage, and that damage takes its toll over time. And so the first round went on. Chris Weidman got his back. And the one thing I noticed straight away was Luke Rockhold looked very relaxed. He looked calm. He wasn't bothered about having Chris Weidman on his back. And he just slowly worked back to position. And the first round was very, very even. But Luke Rockhold was smashing those kicks in. He was smashing those kicks in. And he was not scared to throw kicks. Not one little bit. He wasn't scared to throw kicks. Wasn't scared to get taken down. And, I know Chris Weidman. I don't know that much about their backgrounds. But I know Chris Weidman's a top wrestler. And, and I love Chris Weidman. I love both of these guys. And, they're both great role models for the sport, I think. And first round was just, I thought it was very even. I wasn't even going to think about scoring the first round. And second round come out, and, geez, what did happen in the second round? Chris Weidman, wasn't he winning in the second round? And Luke Rockhold took him down. Was that the second round? Took him down. And then just at the end of the round, just tanked him. Was smashing in the elbows. I'm a huge fan of using the elbows, and I love the way that he was doing it, just straight down. And the elbow is a better weapon to use because A, you're not going to bust your hands up, and B, it cuts like a razor blade. And And then, was it the third round that it finished? I'm pretty sure it was the third round. Chris Weidman started looking all right. He was landing some kicks and stuff like that. But Luke Rockhold, I take my hat off to him. He really, really paced himself, was calm and relaxed. He hit hard punches, kicks, elbows. He did some serious damage. And I was kind of surprised how quickly the fight was ended when he was starting to rain down shots. But unfortunately for Chris Weidman, when he tried doing that spinning kick, it was just one of those moves that was a lead to his downfall. And Luke Rockhold, I take my hat off to him. He deserves to be the champion. He did a great job, and I really, really enjoyed watching that fight. And I really look forward to watching both of those men fight again. How lucky are we to have these guys put on shows like that for us? and go through all of the training and the punishment that they go through to provide this sports entertainment to us. Everyone likes different sports and things like that. I'm just a fan of the martial arts style contests of this sort of caliber. All calibers as well. Even grappling is is very hard to do. I'm not very good at grappling, I can tell you that. I'm not very good at anything. But what these guys do is very, very impressive, and they're the highest level that there is in the world in the fighting game. And I take my hat off to both guys. What can you say? Someone has to be a winner and someone has to be a loser. Colin McGregor, he walked the walk, talked the talk, and he put on the show. And that was just a clean, crisp punch that did not look like it had power, but it was precise and it was timed perfectly. It was just a little punch. Well, it looked like a little punch. I'm sure it would have knocked me on my ass too. But it was just timed perfectly. And Luke Rockhold just went out there, paced himself, hit hard. He hit hard. That's a big, big key. Not that you have to hit hard, but when you're going to go over 5 rounds, if you can hit hard and pace yourself and damage the other guy, you're going to be in better position. But I never counted Chris Weidman out. To be honest, I actually thought Chris Weidman was going to start coming back, and I thought he was going to win the fight for a little while. Luke Rockhold didn't look like he was tiring, but he was, pacing himself and being cautious. And I thought that maybe Chris Weidman was able to take the damage and was able to come back. And he could have, Chris Weidman could have still won that fight. If it had gone to the judges' scorecard, who knows what it would have happened in the next couple of rounds. But, once you start banging hard, it's going to hurt. So, congratulations to the guys, and me just waffle on about UFC, and kind of pretty excited about watching fights like that. And the ladies' fight, I can't remember the names, but the young girl from America that was on the UFC, the Ultimate Fighter, she come out and put on a nice fight as well. She's got some awesome stand-up capabilities. She didn't throw any kicks that I remember in her last fight. Vincent was her name. She looked really, really good. And I got to put a shout out to Calderwood. She was on the Ultimate Fight as well. Man, I would love to hear her do an ASMR video. I thought she had a great voice, and I think I would die in tingles if she was to do an ASMR video. But anyway, I'm just doing some shout outs and just some fun stuff just to have a smile.